Welcome to another episode of Chats with Chantla.
Thank you for watching Chats with Chantla. I'm Chantla Israel. We're here with another episode. I have the amazing Amy Hanczyk, and she is the owner of Vito's Tea House. I told you in my caption that I can't wait for you to hear the story of how the business got its name, but we're going to be talking about her journey into entrepreneurship and how her success as a local business is thriving for a lot of very special reasons. But Amy, how are you doing today? And welcome to the show.
Great. I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Chantla. I'm very excited to share about my business today.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you said yes to the collaboration. So if you're joining us and you have any questions for Amy, make sure you put it in the comment section and I'll have it appear on the screen on your behalf. But Amy, let's get this conversation started. I know a lot of people like me want to know a little bit about who you are as a person outside of just being a business owner and entrepreneur. So tell me a bit about yourself.
Well, I am originally from West Virginia. I grew up in the Moundsville, West Virginia area near Wheeling, West Virginia, and I moved to Uniontown about 8 years ago. My husband is from this area, and when I moved here, I just fell in love with it. We have a really good group of friends. We're trying to make the community better, better place to live, and it just Uniontown has a lot to offer. And then I have a daughter and a daughter. She is 9, and a stepdaughter who just graduated high school. So we're excited for that. And but that's it. It's just we're just a local family who are trying to make the community better.
Absolutely. And you are. And I love how you're doing it. And thank you so much for being an implant in this area, but you're depositing so much to the area as a business owner and also someone like, I'm not saying that Moundsville is so far away from us, but it's completely different in culture and things like that. So you're integrating yourself successfully. But I love the name Vito's Tea House. So I don't even want to go any further. I just believe that people, because I was very curious to want to know, how did you get the name for your business?
Well, the name actually came from my love of mafia. I am a huge mafia fan. I love the history of mafia, and I love mafia movies, books, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
I learn a lot about it. It's kind of strange to some people, but it's very interesting. And there's so many mafia ties to different areas, local.
Mm-hmm.
And even where I'm from, there's a lot. So I've always been interested in mafia, and I thought it would be funny. Kind of, I like humor too, so I thought it would be funny to have a tea house named after a mafia character, and that's where Vito's came from. I played around with some different names, and I thought Vito's just kind of stuck. So.
Absolutely. And I just remember we were talking about the name. It also invites the masculine side of tea drinkers because so many times you hear of like maybe Amy's Tea House or Patty's Tea House or some feminine name. And a lot of times our counterparts or our men just feel like, no, I can't go to that. That's for women. That's, too girly. And so I just think like Vito and just showing like there are men that drink tea, and I just love that. But when I heard that, I'm like, what do you know about the mafia? So it was just so great to hear that story and to get kind of a backstory and some insight on how you got the name for Vito's Tea House. But when you thought about the vision for the tea house, how has the initial vision for the business evolved since you launched it? And I know that did a soft launch, but you're going to be doing an actual like grand opening soon. But how has it changed or evolved?
It's been great. It's exceeded our expectations. When I first started out, I just started at our local farmers market here in Uniontown, and I was very successful. I did some market research to see if people would even like tea and the things that we do. And I always had a vision for having a space for people to come in, not only to drink tea, but just a space to hang out.
Right.
And I was able to find a space thanks to our friends, and we were just kind of going with it. And it's actually been better than I thought. A lot of people love it. They're interested in it. And we've had some really positive feedback from it.
I love that. And then I know you mentioned like being at the farmer, like being a part of the farmers market. And I know
Mhm.
that's something fairly new in the area, but how has the farmers market assisted you with growing your business?
The farmers market's been amazing for me. It's not only helped my business thrive and expand, but it's also a place where the community comes together. And I've met so many members of our community and also other business owners as well and farmers. I started last summer at the farmers market and not just going into it, just thinking, it would just be something fun to do and an experience.
Mhm.
And it's just been better than I thought. And I look forward to going every week just to visit with our community members and just to talk and educate people on tea and also be educated by the
Right.
other vendors and the farmers that are there. And it's just been the farmers market's just been great for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah. And then when you're at the farmers market, have you noticed that you get some repeat customers? And if so, have you learned a little bit about the types of teas that they want? Are you becoming familiar with a lot of the choices from regulars?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do have a lot of regular customers who come to get their tea, and it's to the point now where I kind of know and I have stuff ready for them.
Hmm.
So when they come up, it's you pay attention, you have discussions with the customers, so it sticks in your mind what kind of teas they like, what their interests are, and it's really interesting. And yeah, I'm getting to know everyone's favorite blends and things like that. And also, they educate me on things. There's a lot of our customers in our community. They are, they've been different places. They've been out of the country,
Hmm.
so they'll tell me about different tea houses they've been to in Europe, and I learn from them with a lot of my blends. So I'll do a lot of different blends, and they'll mention stuff to me, and I'll try some stuff out, and then they'll come back a couple weeks later and they'll try it and
Hmm.
say, that they love it, and so it's been a really great experience.
I would think so. And then so also too, the farmers market, when does it is it weekly or is it bi-weekly or once a month? How often does it happen for you?
Yes, it's every week through September, every Saturday from 9 to 12.
Okay.
And there's so many we have so many new vendors this year that are coming down and having their goods down there, and it's just been a really great. We have extra other farms coming now, and it's just expanded a tremendous amount. The Parks and Recreation Board in Uniontown are in charge of it, and they've just done a tremendous job starting it up again, and it's just been great this year.
And shout out to the Parks and Recreation Board and personnel that really are putting this together. I want to shout out Kelly Trott. I also want to shout out your husband for making sure that this stays consistent and it keeps growing. But I know a lot of times for me, I didn't know a lot about tea. And
Mhm.
it goes back to me thinking about the name of your business, Vito's Tea House. But I think your story is a lot more personal about your love for tea. So tell us a little bit about like how your love of tea came about and how it's actually influencing you still today.
Well, I started drinking tea at a very early age, which is kind of funny because I was a little girl and was getting loaded up on caffeine. But but my dad, he actually made me hot tea every morning, and it was kind of a comfort thing before school,
Mhm.
which is funny because it was not anything calming. It was black tea. It was very highly caffeinated, but it still made me calm and calm me down. And it was just a comforting thing. And
Yeah.
my dad and I kind of bonded over hot tea every day. And it was just something that, I've always had to have a cup of hot tea in the morning. And I think that's where my love of tea started. And then as the years went on, I learned about other teas and other tea blends, and that there was more than just black tea,
Right.
and also the health benefits of other teas that are out there
Mhm.
as well. And I was able to have fun blending different fruit teas together and making different blends of my own, and just the health benefits of tea is just something else too. And I think a lot of people have switched from coffee to tea because of that as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. And I just love the story, even though when you were younger and you were drinking it, it might have been caffeinated, but probably not as caffeinated as they intentionally make it now. But it just made
Right.
me think when I was younger, I didn't know any other tea but black tea, like Lipton's tea. That was the only tea that
Hmm.
I was familiar with. And now
Yep.
when I got older, I thought about Earl tea and then the breakfast blend. But now there's so many. Like you said, there's so many different teas that are out there. And tea is really special to me. And I didn't know, like I shared with you, that I drank it like the English way. I drink my tea with milk. And
Yeah.
so I really like it that way. But also, too, with the other types of tea, I'm an herbal tea drinker, so I don't like the ones that are caffeinated. But what are your biggest sellers in regards to your teas? Are they herbal? Are they caffeinated? And what type of blends are people really moving towards?
My biggest sellers right now, there's a lot of herbal teas. There's a tea called rooibos tea, and it's an herbal tea, but it's very good tasting because I have different blends. There's peach and raspberry,
Oh,
and I even do chocolate teas during the holidays, things like that. And people like those just because they are herbal and they're calming for your stomach. And I also have the Earl Grey teas. I have
mhm.
a tea called the Queen's Tea Party, which is probably my biggest seller right now. It's just very good tasting. It has a little bit of lavender in it.
Mm,
And then, of course, the chais. Everybody loves the
mhm,
vanilla chai tea, which personally, that's probably my favorite blend right now is the chai. It's very robust
mhm.
and very spicy, but it's a good tea.
Yeah. I love the chai, and I never really paid attention to the blends until I started to, grow a palate for the different herbal teas, but I did like the chai, and I think it's really surprising that there's black pepper in it. Like
Yes,
that's spicy. And I'm like, who would think about putting pepper in a tea?
I
But
know.
yeah, it's I think it's absolutely it's such a great tea if it's especially I think I would tend to do the chai tea in the winter more. I don't
Yes.
know what it was. It was more soothing. I don't know. It
Mhm.
just maybe because it was colder and it just warmed me up a little bit more than the other teas did. But
Right.
I also like a hibiscus tea as well. And I'm like,
Yes.
that's a flower, and it's really
Hmm.
pretty. And then when you're brewing it, I think for me, brewing the different teas are what are the aromas, like you said, like the blends and how intentional you are with putting certain blends and things. And tell us a little bit about like that part of the chemistry of blending teas.
Yes. So the blends are a lot of fun. You just the different tea leaves, and then a lot of the dried fruits I use. I just kind of play around with a lot of blends to see what would taste nice. And the brewing process, it's like an art because you have to really focus on brewing. Whenever I do a tea gathering for people, that's probably the most important part of the gathering is just brewing the teas. And
Mhm,
it takes a while to do that just because you want to make sure it tastes good, it's perfectly blended. But just the different flowers and things you play around with and try to focus on what's good and just testing it out. And I had to actually take classes for that because it is a lot of trial and error with
mhm,
things. But luckily, I have some, really, thank God, the blends have come out great. But yeah, just the brewing process itself, it's very therapeutic too to brew
mhm,
tea, especially hot teas
mhm,
in the winter. And but it takes a while to do that, and there is an art to it,
mhm.
but once you do it a few times, there's nothing to it, and it's just relaxing and calming, and it's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
probably the best part of what I do is brewing my teas.
Well, I think you're so modest because you're like, oh, it's nothing to it. Now, to me, that sounds like chemistry. It sounds very complicated. But when you have a passion for something, it's when you can say, oh, it's nothing to it. But to somebody like myself, I'd be like, well, I'm mixing anything and everything, and it's why it tastes yucky. It might not taste as
Right.
elegant and to the palate as something that you're doing. So I think a lot of times when something comes natural or is a passion of ours, we don't mean to downplay it. So I just want people to know it's not as easy as she's saying that it is. It's something that she's very passionate about and she has a love for. So then it just comes naturally. So if you're just now joining in, I'm Chantla Israel. I'm the host of Chats with Chantla, but I have Amy Hanczyk here with me, and she's telling us about her ownership of Vito's tea house and how she got started, how it's evolving. And it's just more than a tea house where you go and have tea. You're actually having an experience. So she just got done telling us her passion for tea blending and how it can be complicated, how she loves it. And it's one of the best parts of, the part of being an entrepreneur in this industry of tea. So I just want to continue this beautiful conversation so people can get more insight on what you're doing, how it's developing, and then how it can also be encouraging. But we know with business, we all incur, are faced with some challenges. So what were some unexpected challenges you faced during the early stages, and how did you overcome them?
I think with any small business starting out, there's just a challenge of starting up and just making that investment, that initial investment in it. Before I got brick and mortar, I was just going to do farmers market and some pop-ups and just do online stuff. That was it. And then I was able to, friends of ours talked us into, why don't you open up a tea shop? And they had Amy Gartley, who owns the 1848. She was one who really pushed me. She said it would be great. She has Airbnbs, which are beautiful. And having the tea shop downstairs of that is it's just perfect. So I finally did it and I opened it up. And I think the biggest challenge for me is just starting. I said back in March I was going to open back in March, and here we are almost into July, and I'm still putting final touches on the brick and mortar. So we're getting there, but we are booking parties, small events, things like that now. And it's just been, the challenges are there, but it's also been a positive too. So the positive is definitely outweighing the challenges at this point.
Yeah, and I love that. And I love the community. And what I mean about that is you just finding like-hearted and like-minded people that are supportive. And we also need those accountability partners that kind of say, well, you said you were going to do it this way and then, or at this time, and kind of pushing us out of our fears. But it's
Right.
normal, like you said, to have the challenges and but you're overcoming them. Sometimes I think that, we are so worried about hitting a certain time frame that we don't allow ourselves to develop and come, some things don't always come with ease, but sometimes we apply a lot more pressure on ourselves than we need to. But you do
Right.
have a support system. You do have people that are really doing some great work with you. And that is a beautiful collaboration to be a part of a historical, house and a beautiful Airbnb at 1848, which is located on Fayette Street, and to be able to be downstairs and offer, I couldn't imagine coming in to the Lower Highlands and be able to stay at the Airbnb and then having the access of a tea house right downstairs, so you can have your morning tea and have a scone or have a breakfast sandwich and then be able just to enjoy it in that atmosphere, or just being upstairs and smelling the aroma of the tea and things like that. So you're getting like a dual blessing with having both of those there. But I know a lot of people are excited for you to open the brick and mortar. But until then, you can always go to the farmers market on Saturdays between 9 to 12 to get some of the tea blends there. But Amy, I think what you're doing is so encouraging and it's so inspiring. So if you're joining us and you have a question for Amy, please put it in the comment section and I'll bring it up on the screen on your behalf. But we're going to keep this beautiful conversation growing and continuing with this. But Amy, I also want to know, even though I know you probably have a small team right now, but how do you manage to maintain and foster a positive community culture within your team?
I think we have a small team right now. It's just basically myself and my husband and then our daughters, of course. And I just think that communication is key, and just communicating with the community and with them as well. And they're very supportive. I couldn't do this without without my family and the support of our community. But I feel that just keeping positive is how we kind of maintain things with our business so far. And things have been just, like I said, it's exceeded our expectations this far. We didn't think we would even have a brick and mortar at all, let alone, this soon. So I think that just staying positive and taking it one step at a time and going slow with it, I think that's really the important part of maintaining, and just, taking a break here and there and not overdoing it with the business as well. But we've had such good feedback from the community, and everyone's been so helpful and supportive. So that's a huge help too.
Yeah. And, so you also, it's you and your husband and your daughters that do this, but you also have a full-time job. So how do you manage to be able to do a startup company, evolving it, and then also maintaining as a wife, mother, and also an employee? How is that all? How do you have the balance between work and life and also running a business?
Well, it's hard on a lot of days, but you just have to kind of prioritize and figure out, what's more important that day, things like that. And I do have a full-time job, and I'm lucky that my career lets me do this as well. And I have a supportive team there as well at my job. But it's just a planner, making sure you have plans, everything written down, mapping out your day, things like that. And then making sure that, you do have time for your family, of course, and all that. That's important. But so far, I've been able to manage that with lack of sleep, of course, but it's been worth it. So.
And also too, I wanted to ask a question, because maybe some other people may want to know too. And some people may also be intimidated, because a lot of times people, when they think about tea, they think about like rules and things like that. So do you teach etiquette in any forum, so that people feel like they're a little bit more comfortable, or maybe a young lady would want to know, or a parent would want their daughter or son to know how to drink tea properly? Do you teach any form of etiquette?
Yes, so I do tea parties for children, and there is an etiquette portion. It's very basic. It's a very basic etiquette. Basically, I just teach how to properly set the table, what is for what spoon you use, how how you put your sugar in your tea, things like that. It's just a simple basic etiquette for children. And we do a little portion of that, and then the rest of the time we play games, because in my mind, kids drinking tea, if I can get them to drink tea, that's the main thing.
Yes.
A lot of kids, they don't, I offer different blends to kids, and they're just like, oh, I don't think I want to try that. But by the end of the tea party, if they're trying some of my other blended teas, then we've done something right. But yeah, I definitely teach a small etiquette class to them, and it's really neat to see the little kids with their napkins on their laps and drinking, the tea properly, and so they learn a little bit from that.
And I love that, because, adults want to know, proper ways of tea etiquette as well. So I just think that, it's interesting. It may not be for everybody, but it may be for some. And so I just think that it's interesting. And it's also just a great skill to have and reserve. You never know when you're going to be somewhere and tea's going to be offered to you, or you just want to explore and go to an afternoon tea or a high tea. And it's just really, I think the experience of tea houses and the experience of just having tea is growing a lot more than it did previously. And I just think, like, if you could get a little bit, get exposed to the tea experience locally, that can help you in your travels if you're going somewhere. Because, I just think a lot of times people think like everybody drinks coffee. And not that a lot of people don't drink coffee, but it's more of an American thing to drink coffee as your beverage in the morning. Because in other areas and other cultures in the world, it's tea that's being offered. It's not coffee,
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
And I love that. And I never really thought about it until the conversation you and I had. And I'm like, and I think in other cultures in other areas of the world, it's always tea that's offered. Like coffee is not, the thing. So I just think that what you're doing is, it's a beautiful offer for, a local business, but it's also just expanding. It's just expand yourself, to something new. And there are definitely, I think, a lot of choices in regards to coffee, but there are tons of blends that tea can help. And then, like you said, the health benefits. Like I know that tea was very comforting to me all the time, but especially when I was having my period, I would always want a cup of tea. It was just soothing, and I would relax me and then go to sleep. It was like a part of my monthly routine. So,
Right.
it's just something that, a lot of times, and there are even blends specifically for PMS. And
Mhm.
I know you have a blend, and so, if you have someone who's looking for a tea and I'm like, oh, it's soothing, Amy has you covered. So it has raspberry in it, has lemon, it has all these great lavender. So I just think like the blends that are offered in tea and then you being able to be a specialist in the blends is a beautiful thing as well. So when I'm thinking about like you doing that and growing your business, there is a lot of like strategy that comes with it and advice that you may have gotten. So if someone is watching who is an aspiring entrepreneur, based on your experiences, what type of advice would you give to them?
I would just say don't give up on your dream, because this is something that I've thought about for years. I just never ever thought to execute it. It's just something that was always in the back of my mind. And just educate yourself on how to start it. And don't, if you think that it's something you're interested in, just go for it, because honestly, it's a huge investment and there are ups and downs. But if you just go for it, you'll see if it's worth it. If it's not, at least you tried. And also reach out to me or other business owners, because we're all in the same boat with this. I've reached out. I've gotten advice from so many small business owners here locally in Uniontown and elsewhere. I've even reached out to other tea room owners in different, across the country and in other countries too, just to get a variety of. Gave me advice on how to start, if I wanted a full restaurant tea room or just a tea shop. And it was great to talk to people like that, just to get information and advice on what's right for me. And just do a lot of research, reach out to other people. Don't be afraid to talk to even what you think is your competition, because there's
Mhm.
people in our area that I consider that you would consider competition for me, but I've actually reached out to them and they've helped me with my business.
Yeah.
So it's really something. So don't be afraid to do it if you want to start something, and just get advice from everyone you can and just go for it. If you think it's a silly idea, it's not. It really isn't. I mean, I'm opening a mafia tea shop,
Yeah.
so which a lot of people still think, they're like, what,
Yeah.
but but it's it seems to be pretty receptive. People are open to it. So but just do it if like I said, if you're looking into starting something and you have a dream, go for it.
I love that. And I think that's true. Like be true to yourself in the dream,
Mhm.
there could be people waiting, for something that you have and you just don't know. But I do have a question from our audience who are watching. Thank you so much, Miss Carol, for watching and supporting Chats with Chantla every week. But Carol does have the question, and it goes back to you moving forward into the business. But she said, how long did you have to think before you made the second step to expand?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, it was one of those things. I had a little bit of time. I would say I it was about a year ago I was approached to do brick and mortar. And I thought about it all last summer and into the fall, and finally I thought, you know what, let's just try it and see how it goes, because so many people were positive about it. And I think that's what really got me too. If more people wouldn't have been open to me having a tea shop, or more people wouldn't have showed interest, I probably wouldn't have done the brick and mortar this quickly. But probably I would say, like I said, it's been a year. I started last summer really contemplating and looking for places, just kind of get an idea of what rent was like and leasing and things like that, and if it would be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And then so finally I decided to just go for it. So we'll see. I'm still in the beginning processes, so we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely, but you're doing it. So,
Yeah.
Ms. Carol, thank you so much for that question. Like she said, it was a great question. And really, I think a lot of times people think that it has to be this amount of time or it's not going to work. And like you just said, it was a year before you really made the leap to the second step to say, I'm
Yeah.
going to do this. And and you're like you said, it's still in this early stages of that. And
Right.
so everybody's time frame is different. Everybody's bandwidth is different. Everybody's resources are different. So all those factors play a part in the steps that you're able to take. But I know that you said like the tea house and you're doing the different tea blends. But what are some of your future growth plans for the business for Vito's Tea House?
My future plans, I would just like to have a space for people to come. The tea shop, we'll have local vendors there as well selling their goods. So that's another thing. My goal is to show off a lot of our local talent in our area because we have so much. I wish I had a huge warehouse to showcase everybody's talent because there's so many
Right.
talented people here. But we will have local vendors selling their goods and along with my teas. But we also want to do book clubs and meetings. And we are a small space, so we only hold up to maximum like 20 people or so. But it's great for small, intimate gatherings. And I want to do children's book clubs of different ages, different age groups. Especially throughout the summer. So we're going to be starting that up soon, and I'll post more of that on our Facebook page and things like that. So things like that, just a space for people to come in the community where they want to, a safe space where they can hang out and just sit with a friend, have some tea, or just shop or just, hang out and just talk, or read a book. So
And
that's
and the thing that I love about the idea of creating a space for people is a lot of times we will want to go to like other local bakeries, bigger franchises that sometimes it's just not the piece that you want, and it's kind of like the trend to do because it may look like, because I think what people, at least for me in my experience, is so many people just want to take a photo and they're not really enjoying or getting an experience. It's like a photo op so they can post. And
Right.
what I feel at Vito's Tea House is it's an experience that's intimate, that's going to allow you to have like peace, be able to be in a great area space. And, it's not going to be overly crowded. It's going to be an opportunity to experience something unique, and I just love that because you can go to all these large franchise stores and shops and get a time to have a cup of coffee or a tea or a pastry or a sandwich, but you're not
Right.
getting an experience. Like I think the thing that people are missing out is the experience. Like shopping is one thing, but going and having an experience is different. And I think that's what you're offering. And it's new to people. It's going to be an opportunity for people also to learn more about tea, learn more about local businesses and the collaborations that you're going to be doing. And then it's also the other beautiful thing is what you're getting at Vito's Tea House is like farm to table. It's not something that's being manufactured and being shipped 15 to 1,000, 1,500 miles, 2,000 miles, from where it's landing on the table, but you're getting fresh ingredients. Like I think the intentionality behind your business and then the future collaborations are so important.
They definitely are. I definitely support all the local businesses around here and the farmers. Eventually we'd like to get, some additional farmers goods in our tea shop as well to sell. And then of course we promote all the small bakeries, and I work a lot with From Scratch downtown, and she's just amazing. All her stuff is fresh, and she also has a great little shop down there. And so I just want to promote as many as I can that are local.
Right.
And along with the tea. So
Yeah.
I think it's just to, collaborate with everyone around and
Mhm.
try to just show off Uniontown and all the
Absolutely.
talent here and my little tea shop. So I'll do the best I can to, show off everyone that I can. So
Yeah, and I think you're doing it, and I think another great thing, Amy, is your timing is perfect in how you're moving to the next step, because there's so much happening with the bike trail and a
mhm.
lot of things that are going to bring a lot more attention to the area. So there's going to be a lot more attractions and local attractions that we'll be able to offer. And I just think, there's the State Theater that puts on musicals all the time. They have the Little Mermaid coming in July. Somebody might want to come in from out of town. They can be at 1848, come downstairs, have a beautiful breakfast, have a beautiful, cup of tea. And I just think all of that matters when you're building up a community, when you're trying to restore a community and you're coming together with collaborations with other vendors and other local businesses. So it all connects. And when it connects, it's adding to the visibility of Uniontown, the positives of Uniontown. And I really I'm just really excited for what's to come with Vito's Tea. So I know a lot of people who are watching want to stay connected with you. So I would love for you to be able to share, your social media handles and how we can stay connected to you, so we can learn the different blends when the brick and mortar is opening, so we can support the grand opening and just be a mouthpiece if you're watching for Vito's Tea to spread positivity and awareness that this local business it does exist and where it is. So if you want to share your social media handles with our audience so they can stay connected.
Sure. I just basically my biggest connection right now is Facebook. So be Vito's Tea House on Facebook, and Instagram as well. We are working on a website currently. It'll be finished soon. But in the meantime, if you need to order anything or you want to book a party or anything like that, just go to my Facebook, Vito's Tea House at Facebook, and message me or text or call, because my phone number's on there as well. So
Absolutely.
you can get through a hold of me that way and order that way as well. And I have everything listed, all my teas, everything. And we'll also keep you updated on when we're going to open for sure. So
I'm so excited. And Amy, I know that this conversation was fairly quick and we got some great insight and information, but do you have any last words for anyone who's watching and is thinking about being an entrepreneur, or even just the way that you, because you're doing it, are changing like the restoration of a historical town like Uniontown? It's a small town, but just any words of encouragement, and also how people can actually look at Uniontown and Fayette County in a completely different way than maybe that's previously existed.
yeah, that's tough. It's hard. Our town, it gets a lot of bad reputation, bad talk, but honestly, Uniontown is a beautiful town. And looking at it from a perspective of someone who moved here 8 years ago, when I first came here, I thought there's so much to do. It's a little mountain town. You have the mountains, plus you have Uniontown has a lot to offer. Everyone I've met here has just been wonderful. So as just surround yourself with positive people, I think, is the main thing. And just try to keep plugging away. Just don't give up. I think that if we keep going and we keep having a positive attitude, things will change. Things will happen. We're seeing small changes now in our area that are very, very positive. And I think that if we just keep doing it, it's going to be effective. And the same with entrepreneurs. If you're looking to start a business, especially here locally, just kind of sticking together with all the local businesses here. Everyone's really supportive. I haven't met anyone yet who has been negative business wise. Everyone's really been great. So I think that if we just keep a positive attitude, and we keep sticking together and doing things like the farmers market and things downtown. There's so many events downtown that are happening that are really fun, and just come out for that stuff and see what it's about and meet some of the community that's putting this stuff on. And we have a really great community of people behind the scenes who do things, and it's just been really great for me. And like I said, as somebody who's not from around here, I think Uniontown is just great. I really do. I just think it's a beautiful town. I think that, we have good people here, and I think it's only going to get better. So.
I agree. And Kelly is watching as well. And she said hi to both of us, and she's going to go back and watch more, but she said she can't wait for Vito's to open. It's going to be a wonderful addition to downtown Uniontown. And I couldn't agree more. And Amy, I just really, I think that's a beautiful way to conclude our conversation and this beautiful collaboration. But I just can't wait. And I think that what you're doing is going to be a beautiful addition to Uniontown. I think it's going to create beautiful legacy, and it's going to continue to grow the Uniontown in a positive way, especially in restoration and bringing business and just a different type of exposure to the normal things that we expect. There's a lot of eateries, but there aren't a lot of like dreams of businesses that are existing anymore in Uniontown. So for you to come here and see that this could be a foundation for something that's passionate to you, that's a dream of yours, I really thank you for depositing that into the area. And I said, growing the legacy of Uniontown in a beautiful, positive way. But it has been such a pleasure to collaborate with you tonight and learn more about you as a person and insight as you are as an entrepreneur and how you're growing Vito's Tea. So again, thank you so much for joining me on Chats with Chantla. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, it's been a pleasure for me too. And Chantla, you are another positive force in our community, just so you know. And
thank you.
And I'm very honored to know you. And I'm so glad you asked me to be on this podcast today.
Oh my gosh. My cheeks are gonna start hurting, but thank you so much. And I accept that compliment. And it's so beautiful when someone says yes, it means so much, but it's been a pleasure. And I just love learning who you are and what you're doing. And I love what Amy Gartley just said. She said a cup of positivity.
Yes.
That is so cute. Yes. That sums it up beautifully. So again, thank you all for watching. If you're just now tuning in, make sure you hit the replay button and watch it on 3 platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, and Chats with Chantla on YouTube. So it's a pleasure, and I'll see you next time on Chats with Chantla. Amy, again, thank you so much, and much success to your growing business. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching another episode of Chats with Chantla. See you next time.